In 2001, Eunice Mangwane took a leap of faith and gave up her city life to work as an HIV/AIDS community educator in the Eastern Cape. The area around Hamburg was ravaged by the disease. There were precious few treatment options and education was vital.
Akekho umuntu obulawayo ngu-HIV. Umuntu into embulalayo ngamalalela ezifo. Ngoba kaloku athi akuhla amaqondo akho. Kuba kaloku amajoni akho etyiwe intsholongwane. Kukho amalalela ke ngoku akhoyo ango-TB, ango-pneumonia, ango-meningitis, angozi-diarrhea, angozi-cancer, angozi...
The first hard part of it was that there was no trust between the people of the communities. They didn't trust the two of us. Here comes two city people. Carol from Johannesburg and myself coming from Cape Town. People were very suspicious. Yes, they want to see the doctor so that she can help them with whatever. But when I start talking about HIV and AIDS, then they start, sort of relaxing on the chair and looking, coming from Cape Town, you tell us about HIV and AIDS. We haven't got that here.
She did preventive programs and talking about condoms, talking about what HIV was and how you got it. It was a partnership. She could talk about it. I could work in the clinics.
We had to cover about 119 villages with 19 clinics. We used to work 2 to 3 clinics a day with Carol. One day when we were at this particular village, somebody said, it's not what you are telling us that's killing us. What is killing us is there is sometimes an aeroplane. There is some white men that are in those airplanes that sprinkles powder. And immediately once that airplane goes across, you must know, somebody's child is going to get sick. So I had to convince them. I had to tell them. I had to unscrew all that. I had to make them believe me.
Eunice was in this village coming from town and then coming to talk something that people don't want to hear about. She's just married to this community, and even her own in-laws were not really buying what she was talking about. She really risked her marriage in terms of family, but because she knew whatever that she was saying was the right thing, she was able to stand up for it.
The good thing about Eunice for me is she could always make me laugh, because it was quite terrible, but she took it all in her stride and would just say, make jokes and tease the patients and care for them very well.
Slowly it started to shift, but it started by me to shift. Because why? They would prefer coming to the house in the evening so the doctor can take blood here at my house, then going to the clinic.
Only at the end of 2004, I started accessing private antiretrovirals for just a handful of people. We had to read how to use them, and we were afraid to send people home on them. So we were very, very nervous that they should take them properly. And so Eunice started having people in her own house who didn't come from this village or lived alone. And she started caring for them in her house, in her own bed sometimes.
Just 2 years after deciding to move to Hamburg, Eunice's husband for over 2 decades, her beloved Elliot, died of cancer. Eunice's daughter Una and Judy were still living in Cape Town, and Akona, Eunice's granddaughter, was sent to live with her. Then Judy herself moved permanently to the family home.
Judy fell pregnant again. And then Judy came home permanently. I said to her, I sent you back for schooling. You fell pregnant again. Now you're going to stay here at home and bring up both of your children.
Judy and Akona were now living with Eunice. And soon little Latemba arrived. Eunice's home swelled. And then things began to change.
Judy was going down, very thin. But I thought, oh, it's because, first of all, she's stressed. She can't go back to school. Secondly, when she did have the second baba, she was telling me when she came from hospital that they said she mustn't breastfeed. I thought, who are they to tell me? Because formula, I've got to buy it. She's not working. And I said to her, you are going to breastfeed. You wanted this baba, you're going to breastfeed. But even though she was breastfeeding, she was going down.
We didn't know what was going on, and Judy was just getting quieter and quieter. And she was a completely different personality from how she is now, quite difficult, and we couldn't get through to her, and Eunice was at her wit's end.
3-year-old Litemba was also continually ill with abscesses and boils.
Then Carol and the sister at the clinic, because he was going in and out at the clinic getting these antibiotics, and then the two of them decided to test Litemba.
Sister Mangwane tested Litemba and did the CD4 count, and it was very, very, very low. But because he was well nourished and well cared for, he was still plump and healthy looking. Sister Mangwane had told me that Litemba was positive, but I hadn't had time on my own yet with Eunice. And I asked Eunice to find a blood result in the pile.
As I was going through these results, Litemba, and I see the CD4 count.
And then she started to sort of break down, because that was the way she found out, without any counselling. And then, of course, we knew what was wrong with Judy. We had to treat Litemba very, very quickly. I think if Sister Mangwane hadn't done that, he might have got sick in the next week or two and died. And then we were able to go to Judy and say, we know and we want to help you. The way Judy was diagnosed was a completely unethical way, but it saved Judy and Litemba's lives.
When we found out that Judy was positive, it was to me like, okay, she's positive. It's fine. Because ARVs was then introduced, and I knew that once she goes on to that, she would be fine. But I could not accept the fact that Litemba, he was also positive. What was it, after all, to buy formula instead of forcing Judy to breastfeed? As a mother, you know, I sort of used that strict thing, and you know, that broke me down. That broke me down about Litemba. I accept the fact of Judy, but I did not accept the fact for Litemba, because I blamed myself for it.
Today, Litemba has grown into a bright young boy, and Judy has made a remarkable recovery. They still live in the Eastern Cape.
I don't blame her for that. I was at the wrong at that time. Umzali efuna ukuhlwaya umntwana wakhe iboneka siba uyabona ke ngoku wonile and ke ngoku uzawuhlala phansi andithathi inxaxheba kulona umntana.
You sit now with your grandchildren, they're sitting on the floor, they're having their food, and then with Litemba, is a rhyme that they were taught at the creche about this HIV that infects the rich and the poor, and then he would say, it doesn't leave. But he says it in Xhosa. Ayibashiyi abantwana abancane. HIV doesn't leave. HIV hasn't got mercy. HIV infects even the small children. I am a person that is a strong believer in God. I take Him wholeheartedly into my life. But to be honest and true, when I was going through that tough session of my children being ill, I was in that doubt. I had the death of Elliot in 2002. I had Judy that was diagnosed. I had Litemba that was diagnosed. I got so sick. I could not face the world.